Hi everyone, this is Tina with Overall Adventures. Thank you so much for joining me. Today it's time to talk about the onion skin because it is finished. I'm ready for a new journal. I'm also just ready to show off this sweater that my grandmother made for my aunt in, I don't know, maybe the 70s, the 80s. I know my aunts watch this channel, so tell me in the comments below like when grandma actually made this sweater because I'm obsessed with it and I get to wear it now. This is so cool. Anyway, it's time to talk about onion skin, so let's go to the pros and cons. Here we go. This was my 80th journal, which is insane. So I have some pros to share and I have some cons to share as well. This was a very unique writing experience for me compared to other journals. I've written in a ton of notebooks. I've written in 79 other notebooks. So it was interesting that like 80 was this one because it's very different than any other notebook I've written in. And that takes me to a pro. And that's because the biggest pro of this notebook is the paper. I mean, when I first started talking to you guys about this notebook, I was like, I have a feeling the paper is just really cool. Like it feels really cool. It is. So after now using this notebook up from cover to cover, I can say for sure that the onion skin is the most unique writing experience. I really enjoyed it. It's crinkly, it's crispy, it's noisy, it's just different. It's special for sure. The paper is undeniably awesome. It really is. However, for me, there were a couple things that did not work with this notebook, and I think it has to do more with my personal preferences and just where I'm at as a journaler and how long I've been doing this. These things that bother me that probably wouldn't bother other people, but I'm gonna share them anyway because my honest opinion on this. And that is the first one is the size. And I knew, and I said it in that initial video when I talked about this, I knew that it was gonna be a narrow A5. And it just is not the size for me. It's too narrow. I felt like every time I got to the end of a line, I never finished a word. Like I had to do a dash and then finish the word on the next page or on the next line, which I found to be incredibly annoying. I found it to be annoying because it happens so frequently to me. And granted, my handwriting is very large. It's annoyingly large. And it could have to do with the bold nib that I always use. So again, on me. But that is something that is not my favorite about this notebook. The other thing, again, personal preference, like I do not think this would bother most people, but because the onion skin paper is so thin, my guess is that Coptic stitch binding probably doesn't work great for this paper. And Coptic stitch binding is what makes a notebook lie completely flat. And as a lefty, and you've all heard me talk about this before, I find it so annoying to like wrestle with the paper to get it to lay flat. And if you actually look at this notebook, it does. Like I have worked this notebook, this binding so much that I feel like I've been very aggressive with this notebook. And so like it is lying flat for the most part, but I still feel like I'm missing this whole little column here of possible writing space because I couldn't get it to be completely flat. And again, this is like my journaling for probably too long, relationship with notebooks. So this is on me, okay? But like, as you can see, it is lying flat, or mostly flat. This is also the noisiest notebook in the world. Like, let's just listen for a second. It's noisy, which I love. I love the crinkle, but it's also like everybody knows what I'm journaling. So take that into consideration if that's something that it's on your mind when you want to journal. This is not like a stealthy journaling notebook. Onion skin is loud. It crinkles. It makes noise, which I like a lot, but it is something to think about. And then the last thing, this is a mistake. This was on me 100%. I made this mistake. I'm going to own it. But in that last video where I talked about this notebook, where I introduced this notebook, I did a tea test on this paper. And for whatever reason, I still don't really exactly know what I was thinking. I just opened the notebook and put a bunch of tea on it. But I put the tea on basically the first page of this onion skin. And that first page was kind of like the sealant of the paper to the binding in some ways. And I oversaturated the notebook. This is on me. This has nothing to do with the quality of the notebook. This is me. I put way too much tea in the binding area. And what I really like is these strings that are, you know, sewn to keep the pages together are super, super thin, because the onion paper is so thin. But as a result, those strings got too wet, ripped very quickly. And then I basically lost this first signature. So I had to do some, you know, you make it work. We did some washi tape and stuff. But again, that's on me. That's not about the construction of this notebook. That's just, I would not put water on this paper. I don't think it needs it. If you do, great. Like that's awesome. I just wouldn't put it on the first page. I wouldn't do that. But if you want to put water on it or tea on it, I think you can, but you get so much crinkle already. I don't really think it needs to, I just don't think the paper really needs it. Overall, this feels like a very, very special notebook. I think if you have a collection of poetry that you want to copy in and give to it as a gift, or you want to give this to somebody who's going through like a very specific time in their life, or if you want a notebook for a very specific and special purpose, I think this is a really cool, unique choice. But for somebody like me who's just obsessed with daily journaling and just getting as many words down on the paper as I can in a day, for no reason really. I still don't even really know what I'm doing with journaling anymore, but I just need to write. This feels a little too precious for me personally. And I'm just really rough with my notebooks. And I think this one, I really broke her in, I guess. So overall, not my favorite notebook that I've ever used, but just cool, like unique for sure. The next notebook. So if you go back to the video where I have asked you all to pick a new notebook for me, one of the notebooks that I put was this notebook from Danika58, and it was actually, she's an Etsy shop owner. Beautiful paper from Japan. Robin at Talks from the Heart actually gifted me this notebook, and when I talked to you all about it, you guys, I was saying like, I really want to cut it down to an A6, and you all were like, what? That's like such nice paper. I can't believe you're gonna cut like half of it down. And a couple of people said that in the comments, and it made me think like, yeah, like, and I tested out, I just did like a little ink sample in the back, and I was like, wow, yeah, this paper is too nice for me to just cut in half. So here's what I decided to do. So I am using the Danika58 A5 notebook, and as a treat to myself, I got myself a new Documented Journey A5 hybrid folio traveler's notebook cover for her. So this notebook is, I like the spine. I'm not really a big pocket person because, as you know, I don't really use anything in my notebooks. And so I don't really need pockets for ephemera or pens or anything like that. But it's wheat. This is her, wheat cork, and then this is honey cork. And then on the inside, I just have some olive felt. I love Breeze notebooks, okay? This is my second one. But what I want to say about this notebook that I'm really obsessed with is this wheat. I'm a sensitive texture person. I don't know. Maybe I am a highly sensitive person. I think I probably am a highly sensitive person. Yeah. But so texture really means a lot to me, whether that's on paper, whether that's clothing, whether that's whatever. I'm very like sensitive to touch and to a lot of different things actually. But with this wheat, it just feels it just feels amazing. It's buttery, it's velvety, I don't even know. There's something very, very, very satisfying about the touch of this cork specifically. Her other corks are great, and I love the patterns and the colors and all of that, but the original wheat is just, it's just for me. So if you're interested in ordering from Brie Documented Journey, I do have a 10% off discount code if you use Overall Adventures. That's pretty cool. And I just can't recommend the wheat enough. I think you will love it. It's just so soft. It's so soft. So this is my new setup. I'm very excited. So I've got a Brie's cover, and then I've got a Danika58. This is a dot grid A5 notebook. And I'm going to admit that I've started already. I have 2 entries in it, and I think I've already used almost a whole signature because the paper is so nice for somebody. It's for fountain pens specifically. If you like really like creamy, juicy ink on really like almost, I don't even know how to describe this. It's just meant to be with ink. It just fits. So I know that I'm gonna love this notebook. It lies super flat. It's Coptic stitch bound, which is my personal favorite. It is A5, which does feel super big for me, especially coming from Pocket and A6 the past year pretty much. So the size I know isn't my favorite. I just feel like I get like lost in this a little bit, but the paper is worth it, and I'm really glad I made the call. And thank you to those of you that suggested that I not cut it, because I was gonna drive for this video, but I decided not to. So thank you for that. And I think this is gonna be a favorite. This notebook is it's just nice. It's really nice. And I'm happy that I have the cover to match it. So that's that. And then journaling goals. So let's just get something straight. The last video of like sorting the onion skin, I was like, I'm gonna collage. I have this huge thing of ephemera. I did not do anything. I just wrote and wrote in this notebook. I did not collage at all. I did not use any ephemera except this little thing here. And someone sent this to me in a package, which was super sweet. That's all I did. This notebook, I'm not going to commit to you guys that I'm going to collage or anything, because I just don't think I'm interested in it. I think that's the reality. I think I just love words. I just love words, and I journal just for the words, and I journal because it just feels good, and it's something I need to do every day. And I think that's enough. I have no idea really why I do this all the time obsessively, but I just need to. And I just think it's just gotta be words. So I will use my stencil for the dates as always, but in terms of journaling goals, I don't foresee myself doing anything differently this time around. So I just love to write, and I just need to get words out of me, and I need to capture these like fragments of my life as they're happening in real time. And I don't know if they ever make sense, because I never read these journals again unless I whip out the box to show you guys. So it's a very like in the moment hobby for me. It just is what it is. That's it. So I don't have journaling goals. I just want to enjoy this, and I know I will, with this beautiful notebook. And then should we do a pen test? Let's do a pen test. I want to show you how juicy this is. Let's do a little pen test. I'm now a little uncertain about doing a tea test because of my experience with the onion skin, but come here, let's do a little pen test. Let me get my pen. You will be surprised if you watch me and know me that I have changed the color of my ink. So let me show you. Oh yes, this is my like little stand. I've got Catan holding you guys up. Okay. So let's just do, hey, YouTube. So the thing with this ink for sure, because this paper is so nice, it does take a little bit to dry for sure. As you can see, I'm writing with brown. Whoa, not gray. Big deal for me. Bree sent me this. She wasn't using this brown ink, pigment ink, and it's a sepia kind of tone. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly, the color, but it is just nice to have some kind of change. But because this notebook is so meant for fountain pens, it does take a little bit of time to dry, which is totally worth it. So I'm not sure if you can see this here, but some of these ink lines are darker than others, which I love, and that has to do with the paper and how it's kind of collecting the ink. And I just love how it almost looks a little bit watercolory and shows just different shades of the ink, and I just think it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So totally jives with a fountain pen for sure. And then I do have my ginger tea here. Do I want to do it? Will you guys judge me if I just stick my hand in my... I'm gonna do it. Just don't judge me. Okay. I don't think it needs... It doesn't need this. I can already tell you. It doesn't need to crinkle. This paper isn't about crinkle. This paper is more about the texture here of this softness. So I'll come back to you and let you know what I think about that. But yeah, I don't think it needs watercolor. I'm sure it's going to do fine holding it, but I think that's not what makes this paper awesome. Okay, let's turn you around. And last but not least, the first page. The first page. I love that, those phrases together, those words together. The first page. So sweet. Yeah, I mean, as always, let's see if I can hold this up. As always, I skip the first page because it's too overwhelming. So I always skip the first page. I did it in here too. I still just skip it. I just leave it. I don't care. I probably could stick a sticker on there. That's probably a good idea. I could use some of my ephemera. And then I always skip the first other page, second page. And yeah, I usually do an index. This time I was so lazy, I didn't feel like really doing an index. I indexed one journal entry from this notebook on page 71, and that's it. So that's usually what I do. I just skip the first two pages, and then I go into just a really normal journal entry. Nothing special. However, I will say that usually the last page is when I do more of like a gratitude, a letter kind of style to myself or to the journal itself, in thanking them for that experience and thanking them for all the things that they held during that time in my life. I think that's it. So all of the information that you need to, if you're interested in the Danika58 notebook, or if you're interested in Bree's Documented Journeys Traveler's Notebook covers, it's all down in the description box. And yeah, I'm smitten. I'm smitten with this notebook, and I can tell that it's gonna be a very nice journey. So thank you so much for joining me and sending me lots of creative fire. And yeah, thanks for being here as always. Peace.